Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mattel Jurassic World review. Today we're taking a look at the new Dino Mega Destroyers Carcharodontosaurus. This figure is part of Wave 2 of the Mega Destroyers, and we already have a repaint of a figure that showed up in Wave 1, which I think is really lazy on Mattel's part. And I know before anyone says it, I understand Dinoscape was just thrown together to fill the gap in because Dominion was delayed, but honestly, they could have done a new figure. I just think it's just really lazy to have, two consecutive figures of the same species right in a row. But I will say this, it's a really, really nice looking repaint. I actually like the color scheme on this a little bit better than the Wave 1 Carcharodontosaurus. And my other gripe is, Mega Destroyers is probably the most interesting series in Dinoscape. It's definitely more interesting than the Fierce Force and Roar Attacks because of the inclusion of capture gear. And it's just a shame that the rest of the series didn't just go full capture gear, where every figure came with its own, piece of equipment, like how the old Kenner toys used to come in. We're just stuck with these Mega Destroyer scale figures coming with capture gear. So it would have been nice to get a different species with different capture gear instead of getting, another Carcharodontosaurus. And yes, there's the T-Rex that also came with it. I just wish more figures in Dinoscape had the capture gear because it just seems weird so few figures have it. Now, I ended up ordering this figure from Target's site. It's been in and out of stock for the last few days, so I'll leave a link down below in the description to Target's site if you want to order this figure for yourself. And it's also been showing up in stores at Target and also at Walmart. So let's just go over the packaging really quick before we crack this figure open. Got the Jurassic World logo up here, Dinoscape down here, blue in the background, the Smash Paddock fence on the back of the box, and then turning it around, you get a picture of how the Mega Destroying action works on this Carcharodontosaurus. Shows you how that capture gear pops off the figure. And down here we have the other figure in the wave, which is a new species. It's the awesome looking Pentaceratops. I actually do have this coming in. I should have it in the next couple of days or so. This is also available on Target's site on and off, so just keep checking to see if it comes in. Set your phone up for alerts so you don't miss out on it. So that will do it for the packaging. Let's crack this Carcharodontosaurus open and take a closer look. So let's start with a nice 360 degree view of the Carcharodontosaurus. Even though this is a repaint of a very, very recent figure, I really love the color scheme on it. I just love blue on dinosaur figures, and this figure has that color in spades. I just love how the body is cast in this dark blue color. You have some dark brown for the head and along the top of the neck and back. And mixed in with that is some bright orange that slowly transitions into yellow along the sides of the body. And the paint scheme has this airbrush quality to it, so it gives it a really premium look, which you don't see too often on the Mattel figures. The paint does stop right at the tail, which, is always, a big issue with collectors with this line. But all in all, I like the sculpt on it, even though it doesn't look like what a Carcharodontosaurus should look like. It's a nice Jurassic style version of this species, and the capture gear it comes with works great on it. I just did really like how the capture gear looked on the first one, with all the little molded details on it. So all in all, it's a nice figure, even though it's a very recent repaint of a new figure. Like I said, just kind of wish it was a new species, but since the paint scheme is so good, I can forgive it a little. And let's just do a couple quick measurements. This figure, if you measure along the curve of the tail, is just about 15 inches long and about just over 6.5 inches tall. So Carcharodontosaurus in real life was between 39 and 44 feet long. So I'll put this figure somewhere in the 131 to the 135 scale range, which unfortunately means this figure is way too small to scale with most of the figures in the Mattel line. We all know scale is all over the place with the toys, the books, and the movies. Carnotaurus is way too big. They made Allosaurus small. The Velociraptor, the Dilophosaurus size scale. That's just the movie universe. But it would be nice to see, some of these large predators scale properly with each other. And if Carcharodontosaurus ever showed up in any of the movies and they actually gave it the proper size, it would immediately have to kill a T-Rex to assert how badass this dinosaur is. Because killing a T-Rex is a must in the franchise if you're introducing a new killer dinosaur. So let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with the head. And if you're remotely familiar with the species, you know the head shape is completely wrong on here, but it does do a good job of mimicking what Carcharodontosaurus looks like in the Jurassic World Evolution games. You can see the head is cast in this really dark brown plastic, and you have all these nice bright orange highlights around the eye. The eye is painted in yellow with a black pupil. The lower jaw is painted a cream color. Teeth are painted in off-white. And opening up the mouth, you can see the tongue is made out of glossy pink plastic. And the roof of the mouth also has that glossy pink plastic with some nice mouth details. Looking at it from the top, you have all these really large scales on here. Really nice texturing. I do kind of like that on the figure. And then going down to the neck, you have this row of spines, all different shapes and sizes, that goes all the way down the neck, all the way down the body. And then they transition back to the blue plastic along the tail. And then going back to the neck, you have all this dark brown paint mixing with this bright orange with this airbrushing of yellow, which is a really nice touch. Like I said, it gives the figure a very premium, like, paint finish look on it, and that's something that a lot of the figures in the line don't have, and it just really makes this figure stand out from a lot of them. The underside of the neck also has some white paint along the throat, and then going down to the body, you can see all nice fine scale details and folds and wrinkles all over the place, more of that brown, orange, and yellow. Going down to the forearms, they are nicely sculpted. Fortunately, the hand claws are not painted in. Back when the line first came out with Fallen Kingdom, a good majority of the figures actually had the claws on their hands painted in, and Mattel got away from that. Same thing with the toe claws. Mattel painted the toe claws and the hand claws from, time to time. Now it's like pretty much non-existent, but the details have gotten better on the newer figures, and I feel like maybe the cost of, developing and making these figures more detailed, they're just cutting in the paint app department. But I really wish they just throw in the extra effort and, add paint to, like, the nails and the claws. It made the figures look so much better. And now going down to the hind legs, you have some nice muscular, powerful looking hind legs, a lot of folds and wrinkles and all scale detail. Going down to the feet, they're a little bit oversized, not as bad as on some figures, like the T-Rex and Spinosaurus. Same thing, toe claws are not painted in, which is pretty standard now. And turn the figure over. Oh my god, I did not realize this. I do not have the scan code for the fax app for this. This is the first figure I've ever gotten collecting this line where I did not have the scan code on there. It really doesn't bother me because I don't use the app, but I apologize to everyone that watches these videos for the scan code. Can't help you there. There's that wonderful Mattel quality control again. And then going down to the back, you can see that paint stops right at the base of the tail. Another, issue collectors have with this line. We just wish the paint would continue onto the tail. This always looks so plain. But weird part is, on the first Carcharodontosaurus release, we actually got paint on the tail, but they didn't do it on this one. And then on the back right here, you can see that beautiful looking pattern. I really love how this came out. That's why I like this figure a little bit better than the first release. And then going down to the very plain blue looking tail, you can see all those spikes. The end right before the tip of the tail is curved. So that will do it for details. Let's move on to articulation. So for articulation, it's pretty standard on this figure. The arms can move forwards. They can move backwards. They are on a hinge, which allows the arms to swing out. For the hind legs, the legs can move backwards and forwards. There is a lock-in mechanism in here to keep the legs locked into that neutral position. You also do have a pivot at the hips to help with some stability. Going down to the tail, it is on a ball joint. It can move up, down, and side to side. It can also rotate 360 degrees. And then on the back right here, you do have a button to activate its chomping action, which causes the head to bite down and dismember its prey. Now moving on to the capture gear, we already seen it already. This line has very few capture gear dinosaurs in it, and I do really like how this came out. I love the blinder right here to cover up the eye of the Carcharodontosaurus, to calm the predator down when it's captured, and you have all this foam pad in here just so the metal wouldn't cut into the animal. So very well thought out designing and sculpting on here. I just wish these capture gear pieces had some paint apps on it. They're just very plain and gray looking, like maybe like paint like red on the arrow right here, maybe add some black for the eye cover, or some warning stickers on it. Just a little something to make these pieces pop a little bit more. But it's paint apps, and Mattel does like doing multiple paint apps. But all in all, it is a really, really nicely sculpted figure. I love the spring and the shock on here, and just all that padding. So really thought out looking piece. And I do like the little hooks that you can, maybe if you get creative with some toys, like it's lowering the capture gear onto the Carcharodontosaurus. So to use the capture gear, the piece does pop into two sections. You just place this top part on the head right here, and then line everything up. Everything will clip very, very loosely into place, and you just press the button on its back, and the Carcharodontosaurus will break free of its capture gear. You can see it works quite nicely. Moving on with comparisons, here it is with one of the human figures. Here it is with Kenji. And next up, here it is with the recently reviewed baby Brachiosaurus. And next up, here it is with the other Mega Destroyer from Wave 1, the Stegosaurus, which is an all-new sculpt. I really love how this thing turned out. And next up, here it is with the Wave 1 Carcharodontosaurus. You can see on the Wave 1 figure, they did paint the spikes on the top of the tail and added some paint apps to the base of it, which, goes a long way. But I like both figures. I like how this one is kind of faithful to the Jurassic World Evolution color scheme, but the blue and the orange and everything on here just really make the repaint pop, which, helps me not being so upset that it's a repaint so early into Mega Destroyers. So let me know in the comments which one you like better. And next up, here it is with the Scorpius Rex. And I really do this, but here is an accurate representation of Carcharodontosaurus. You can clearly see the difference in skull shapes between two figures. This one right here is the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus. And lastly, here it is next to Rexy. You can just see how pathetic this Carcharodontosaurus looks next to the T-Rex. I really wish this figure was upscaled to be roughly around this size. All the big, bad dinosaurs in the line, like the T-Rex, Spinosaurus, and Indominus Rex, all come in roughly the same size box, and retailers have dedicated shelf space for these large figures. I just wish they would turn, those larger releases into waves, and maybe we can get, bigger dinosaurs to much, scale better with like the Rex and stuff. And, I'm sure people would love to have a larger Carcharodontosaurus to go up against their Rex figures. And I know the Giganotosaurus, when Dominion comes out, is going to get a release of a figure, roughly this size, probably closer to the Indominus Rex size. So I just wish they would just turn those larger figures into waves and just give us some bigger dinosaurs in them. I think a lot of people would like that. So final thoughts on this new Carcharodontosaurus. Other than it being a repaint of an extremely, extremely new figure, I really like it. This is one of the rare cases where the repaint is better than the first release. I love the blue, orange, and brown coloration. It really, really makes this figure pop. The capture gear mechanic works great. I absolutely love it. Just wish more figures in Dinoscape came with capture gear. I just really don't like how only the Mega Destroyers and the T-Rex have capture gear. And from what we've seen, from the upcoming waves, it's really just not a lot of capture gear in a line that, was advertised to have capture gear. So disappointed in that aspect. Dinoscape has been kind of up and down with me. It's a lot of repaints. We are getting some cool new species, but they are really, really far and few in between. But in a few more months, we'll probably start seeing Dominion figures come out. We've already seen some leaks and then some really, really cool looking figures come out in that. So at least Dominion will probably start off with a bang. Like I said at the beginning of the review, I ordered this figure off of Target's site. Link is down below in the description. It's also being found in stores at Target and Walmart. So happy hunting out there. It is the holiday shopping season, so stores are getting a little bit crazy. But good news is, especially the stores around me, they are all heavily stocking new toys. So hunting this stuff down should be a little bit easier this time of year as opposed to, the last 2 years during this terrible, terrible pandemic. So that would do it for the review. I should have the Mega Destroyer Pentaceratops within the next couple of days, and also the Roar Attack Kentrosaurus. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that one, since the Kentrosaurus had a prominent role in Season 4 of Camp Cretaceous. So be on the lookout for those reviews, and it is December, so hopefully Wave 3 of the Beast of Mesozoic Ceratopsian series should be shipping to everyone else. I still have, the rest of that wave coming in, so when those come in, I'll also be doing reviews on those. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated, and I'll see you guys for the next one.